Welcome back to the podcast, back to our virtual energy session. How the heck are you? How are you feeling? How are you doing right now? Check in with your body. Where does your attention go to first? What do you think of first? And let's just connect with our inner light. Hello, inner light. We're just going to align with it, acknowledge it. When you do that, it activates your soul, your energy from source, and whatever part of your body, or maybe you thought of something else entirely, whatever that is, from your light, send yourself a love and healing light. You just did your own energy work for a little bit today. How nice. And you can do that anytime. Anytime. Energy work is simple. Humans make it complicated. We're so good at that. We're so good at making things tough on ourselves. Part of that is our conditioning, because there's been elements in our life have taught us that things are meant to be tough, which is kind of ironic for today's topic. Noted, spirit team. So by the way, I'm working with someone right now who's helping me. I'm going through this major creative phase, and this individual's energetic themselves and is helping me ground, and organize, because I'm not a heavy detail person, in case you haven't noticed. And I'm really getting into grounding these things and bringing them onto this earth plane, into life. And she actually used to get hired by corporations for laughing sessions with their employees. Isn't that great? And so we'll be on the phone, and we've actually done it before, and it feels so awkward at first, and then you start laughing, you're like, oh, this feels good. This feels so good. And one of the big energy themes that's coming into being right now, and keeping in mind, all energy exists somewhere, right? So nothing I ever present is new. Nothing anyone ever presents is new. We're all just creating it in new ways. And one of the big themes that is going to be coming into all of our fruitions, I think, is this concept of using our physical body to help us heal. And one of the terms we could use for that would be somatic healing. People often use EFT, which is tapping, which I'm a big fan of. You can just search it on YouTube if you're not sure what it is. A side note on that, when it comes to tapping, what I have found for me personally, and this can be somewhat triggering, but it is very healing, is to actually speak out loud the negative things. And as you tap, it's the negative things that release. So I used to tap because I wanted to bring in all the positive. And I was like, well, I don't want this anymore, so I'm going to bring in this instead. And I went through this journey and came to learn that doing the tapping on the negative things is actually what really released. And there have been, energy work is interesting, because when you hold space for energy work for yourself or for someone else, you actually can have this transitional moment that is similar to somatic. What's happening right now on Earth is that we are all processing so much, not just one thing, but many things. The guides are saying how powerful it is and how beautiful it is. And they're giving each of our souls this reverence for being here during this space and time and for doing this. And as we process so many things, it requires our physical body to align with us as well. And that's why I have shared on a couple of occasions this need for each of us to continue to take steps to improve our health. And I know those things don't happen overnight, but every little bit adds up. And so with adding this physical element to our healing, it can look like tapping, it can look like dancing. Showers are actually so helpful. I get so many ideas in the shower. Will someone please create like a wet board for the shower so I can write it all down? That would be fabulous. So laughter is another one. And it's probably one of the many reasons why Spirit has me giggle in sessions. Not only does the energy feel good, but laughter helps us move energy. So physical pleasure is another way to move energy. Human touch, massage, of course, walking, nature, yoga, movement, boxing. Lately screaming into pillows has been becoming a trend, or just screaming therapy. So the guides are even bringing up journaling, and I'm like, how is that physical? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. You're writing. So there's a lot of different ways to take your physical body through this transformation. And whatever you can do to support yourself is lovely. And I don't believe big changes happen overnight, even though that's what we want. It's more about just consistently showing up. So, yes, to note that in energy sessions, I have seen, one of the things that I've asked my spirit team to help me with is I get so many concepts and energetic ideas and theories and things to share. That's part of my purpose on earth, is to break things down simply and share them. And I need help breaking them down sometimes. So sometimes on this podcast, I'm actually physically speaking out loud for the first or only the second or third or even fourth time, which is still fairly new to be talking about something energetic. And it's like, how do you put this into words? How do you put energy into words? But that has been my purpose on this earth plane. And also it's a purpose that crept up on me, that kind of came through the back door. And now, of course, I look back in hindsight, it's 2020, and I see all the ways that was showing up for me, and I just hadn't quite seen it yet. And I share that with you because I know there's many of you who are going through a similar experience. What is my thing? What is my purpose? I don't know it yet. I don't see it yet. I don't see it online. I don't see it in front of me. No one's telling me what it is. If you desire to find your purpose or a deeper purpose in life, it is aligning with you. So just stick with your intentions, stick with aligned action, and you'll get there. Oh my gosh. Okay, a couple of tangents. So getting back to, I do see transformation with energy healing, and I'm asking the guides how this works. So what's so interesting? So when we co-create together, obviously you and I are energy, but we're in physical bodies, and it's the physical body of the other person that anchors your energy to shift and to change. And while this happens in, the guides are saying, proficient energy sessions, it's also really important we note how when we have a simple conversation with someone, they're like, our lives can change. I'll never forget, I was in a Uber in Chicago, and I go to get in the car, and the guy goes, Emily? And I sit down and I go, no, Bob. And I don't even know why I said that. And he laughed, and we start chatting, and he tells me this. He just goes on this 4 to 5 minute story about a rose. And it was so symbolic about what had been going on in my head that morning, and just helped me release. And so that is also a way we do energy work, is by helping each other. It's like when you say something to someone, or someone says something to you that just feels so perfect in the moment. And we really do hold space for one another. Which brings me to the next topic. I can't even make this up as I clear my throat for this topic. Okay, so the last episode, when I started holding space, my throat started clearing like crazy. And all day my throat had not been doing that. And when I got done holding space for that podcast episode, it stopped. Pretty much stopped right afterwards. And of course, as I bring up this topic again, my throat clears. So I want to be really clear about something. I work on this every single day, and I will continue to work on it for the rest of my life. Hang on, I need to take a sip of water. Okay. Brother. Oh, brother. I'm being goofed with now. So part of what I do is I hold very intentional space, and a lot of people channel. And to me, channeling and holding space are pretty much similar, almost the same, but here's the big difference, and here's why I don't say I channel. Now, I want to state for the record, I know people that channel and are extremely intentional with it, and they do it really, really well with a lot of integrity. So when we channel, if we're not careful, we can actually let pretty much anything in. My goodness. And when it comes to holding space, you can only hold space with an intention, good, bad, or other. So that's the difference. And when you channel, you can set intentions, of course, or you cannot. And because you are energy and your soul is energy and your soul comes from source. That's why when we say everything is connected, it's because everything, good, bad, and different, is a derivative of source. So that means you have access to everything energy that exists in all of existence, here, other planets, other realms, deep beneath the Earth's surface, far beyond the satellites. You get the idea. I know I've talked about this before, but a lot of these things we're going to continue to talk about and develop. So part of the reason it's important to be intentional, and why I say hold space, is because you are still a sacred human. You're still sacred energy. You're a sacred being. You deserve really, really good things and good experiences. And by coming to Earth at this time, you have invoked these challenges, the guides are calling them like deep inner woundings to be healed, that you've brought forward from other lifetimes and from experiences you've had in this lifetime. So you've got the deep inner work. And then on top of it, there's the collective work. And in order for the collective to change, our inner work has to happen. So last episode, when the guides, spirit was coming through, and they had the throat chakra message for me. Sometimes what we see out there are people channeling, and things can get kind of nuts, right? Who knows? Maybe their bodies start to shake or move, or they start talking in different languages, and to each their own. I don't think there is a right or wrong per se. It's really just what feels good for you. And a lot of those things don't feel good for me. And the reason they don't feel good for me is because anytime I proactively interact with anything of the light, it feels good. Now, that doesn't mean that the light isn't going to help you or me face our shadows and our inner demons, as they like to call them, or not, spirits not calling them that, but as people like to call them. But they're there to help us guide through it, right? So spirit has never been intrusive to me in any way. Now, sometimes things will get slightly uncomfortable. Like if your energy expands a lot, you might get really lightheaded. I kind of love that because I'm like, crank it up, and then I'm like, crank it up. But then, no, I don't want to go skydiving. Ew, that doesn't sound like fun, right? So I pick the areas where I go 100 miles an hour, and then most of the time I'm going the speed limit. So I just want to make it known that even though I was holding space, I was still not monitoring. I want you to know that, number one, your intuition is sort of like the entryway into, it's like the gateway drug into your energy. And what happens is once you start to understand your intuition better, more of your energy is going to come forward. And that means that your higher self, your spirit team, and your higher self relies on your spirit team to give your personality direction in this life. So remember, you are always the one at the helm. Your higher self, your higher consciousness knows what's going on. And then your spirit team and spirit guides help deliver the messages, so to speak, from your higher self. And so they're operating from your highest good always. And they're not here to make you do really weird, funky things. Now, because our energy opens and expands, and I was holding space for the highest good and for messages to be delivered, they were coming through in a way to just say, hey, you've got these things that we've all, you want to talk about, and we're helping you with, and we got some messages to deliver jointly, right? Not in a weird way. And sometimes they have to come through in that way just to kind of get my attention. Now, I could have shut it down. I have that option, right? And sometimes because you're growing and learning and expanding, your energy is just going to come through in different ways. And you always, always, always have the choice. It's meant to feel like a positive, sacred process for you, even though you're going to be going through challenges. So even though the guides were giving me that throat clearing message repeatedly during that time, they're saying part of it was the energy too that was clearing, not just for myself, but for anyone who chose to opt in for that. So that's a part of it too, right? Like I was holding space for the activation of throat clearing. They're actually saying that's a big part of it. But the other underlying message is when we hold space for the highest good of all involved, it's not meant to mess us up. It's not meant to take us over, right? You are a very, very sacred individual. So, and this gets back to, they say they're so sweet. The purpose of us is to help you realize more of yourself, of who you are, and the fact that you are fully capable, fully loving, and that things get to be peaceful. So, which brings us into the next topic, which is, why do you want to communicate with your intuition more? And this is something that's worth spending a little bit of time on. When you realize what you want your intuition to do for you, you can let it relax a little bit. And also ask for it. They're saying ask for more. So our intuition is meant to do the aforementioned, to help you learn, grow, release these old patterns, release these stagnant energies. They're also pointing out that because we're going through such a big collective shift together with so many people vibrating at this earth energy healing, I don't even know what to call it. You get the idea. The fact that everybody's doing this inner work, it actually encourages even more work. So, but it also helps. It also helps when there's other people out there doing, they're joking, this line of business, meaning each of us individually, doing this healing work. So know that your intuition is really going to help you get to where you want to be, which is more peaceful, more calm, more aligned. And as I've said before, and it always will bear repeating, the path to alignment is crunchy. It requires a lot of undoing. And when we say, hey, I desire better, I desire more flow, I desire feeling good, we actually are then faced with our old patterns, our old decisions, old relationships, or the way relationships need to change and evolve. Because how can we be in this new space if we're still operating from the space that's got us to where we're at today? Whew, I feel like we should all like shake our butts right now. Just like shake some of that energy out. Shake, shake, shake. Just shake it out. That's our root chakra and our sacral chakra right there. Because it does not always feel safe as a human to change. The devil we know. We'll take the devil we know. And one of the things Spirit's saying right now is they say every single step counts. Every single element counts. And they're kind of joking. They're like, you'll get the message when it's time to make bigger steps. Okay. Whew. And know too that your journey is endless. So while you think about your intuition and getting to one phase of your intuition is going to always develop with you. Always. There's no end to it. No end. So when you think about, well, what do I really want from my intuition? Think about all the positive surprises that are going to come through. Like for me, last episode and all of that throat chakra clearing. You just never know. And when I mention that things kind of come through the back door, there are two elements to that. So sometimes your intuition is going to ruminate with you on something. It's almost like it comes through the back part of your head before. It's almost like the back part of our head is our unconscious, subconscious, and the front part of our head goes unconscious, subconscious, fully conscious as it gets to the forefront of our head, right? And sometimes these things ruminate in the back as they make their way forward slowly into the front of your head, into your consciousness. However it looks or feels for you. Good times. So there will be times where things will ruminate for you and they slowly become clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer. And then all of a sudden one day it's like, boom, it lands. Or people say, I got a download or whatever. A few ways to help get clarity is to find your own version of alignment. And alignment feels like flow. How do you get into alignment? Alignment is a present state of being. It's beingness. It's what meditation is. It's what meditation gives you. Meditation brings you to the present. I've mentioned before woodworking. A lot of people enjoy woodworking for bringing themselves to the present. Nature walks, being in nature, present. This is why I teach the inner light. When you consciously connect with and align with your inner light, it's bringing you to the present moment. It's bringing you your power and your light. And I do want to point out that the choice is not always obvious, no matter what. So, and the reason it's not always obvious is because you may be dealing with some old patterns, some old fears, scarcity mindset, anything that is still potentially holding you back. And I will give you one example. So growing up, I was never a cat person. And it took someone I knew years and years ago, 6 to 8 months, to convince me to adopt this cat who was not in a healthy home. And I was really resistant, obviously. It took that long to convince me. And even the first few months I had my cat, I was kind of like, I don't know about this. There's a lot of hair everywhere. I'm having to clean up a lot. And needless to say, that soul that became my cat has been an incredible experience, and it's taught me a lot. And I do have a animal communication expert coming on the podcast in the upcoming months. I'm really excited about. If you're in the Inner Light Circle community, that is going to be a live session, so you can join in and ask questions. She's not going to be doing any live readings because it requires some concentration, but it will still be a great episode and experience. So anyway, fast forward a couple of years and I start to get this feeling of a second cat. And I'm thinking to myself, you've got to be kidding me. I lucked out with one good cat. I don't know if I can handle a second. I don't know if she can handle me bringing in another cat. You know what I mean? And I gave it space. And I had one cat come in where I knew it was the right one. And then through a series of events, it was not the right one. But all of this was setting my energy up to be prepared for the right soul to come in, because pets can be a really profound part of our experience. They're not just about being a pet. They're actually about helping you and families be cohesive, grow, be support. They do a lot of energetic work too, which is another podcast episode entirely. So I finally get this nudge. I was asking back and forth. I had this, fear around bringing on a second cat for a number of different reasons. Sounds kind of goofy in the big scheme of things, but I'm just giving you one slight example. And I kept getting these nudges and checking in with my energy, and my energy kept saying yes. And my humanness was like, you've got to be kidding me. How am I going to integrate a second cat into my life? Because I've never done that before. And my other cat is older, and because she was abused in her previous life, she's very beholden to me. So of course I set intentions, and I set intentions for clarity, and then I set intentions for sign. And one of my signs was, if I'm meant to get another cat, I want to see a whale. And then I checked in with my intuition, and I said, when should I ask for this? I asked my inner light, when should I ask for this sign by? Like, what date? And it gave me more of an extended date. I want to say it was 4 days. And it's kind of interesting, because if you think about that answer, the universe could have provided me with a whale within minutes if it wanted to, some way, somehow, right? And instead it said 4 days. I'm like, okay, 4 days it is. I'm kind of annoyed. I'd like more instant gratification, but whatever. So lo and behold, the days go by, and I'm like, where's my sign? Where's my sign? I want my sign. Well, what did that time show me? The time showed me that I really did want this cat. And then in the 11th hour, I'm actually not on social media very much. I try to go on when feels more aligned. And I pull up social media, and there's this reel of not one, but 2 whales swimming together, being pet by a boat of humans. I'm like, okay, there's my sign. So I get this lead intuitively to go to XYZ shelter, and this one sweet little cat, Sylvester, pulled me in. It was a kitten. And when I got to the shelter, of course I had my intentions, and my eyes were set on Sylvester. I wanted another tuxedo. And the gal goes, she starts talking to me about why, if I have a kitten, you need to get 2. Do I really want 3 cats? I was like, oh my God, no, I don't. She goes, kittens are a lot of energy. I was like, are they really? And then I came to find out afterwards, oh my Lord, they are. But she kept pointing to this cat, Cayenne, and he was just chilling in the corner. And I looked at him, and when I first saw him, his energy was really bright. Like, he was just a bright, bright light. But he was super chill, and oh, there we go. He was super chill, and I was just like, no, I don't want a tabby. Also, he's a buff tabby, and at first I literally thought it meant that he's really strong. I was like feeling him. I was like, oh yeah, he is pretty buff. And then I realized, duh, Emily, it's his color. Anyway, I'm really good at some things, folks, and then other things, I'm like, what? So I leave, and for some reason, his energy stuck with me, but he wasn't what I thought I wanted or what I thought my next cat should look like, right? And I gave it some space. I asked for another sign. I got the sign, and I actually reluctantly went back to the rescue place and sat with him in a room with my mom. And my mom was she's like, oh my gosh, he is so sad. He is so sad. And he just sat in the corner, didn't want loves, didn't want pets. He was just droopy. But his light was so bright, and I felt this tug, this pull. And I said, I know, Mom. I was like, this is crazy, but I can't imagine leaving here without him. And my intuition would have given me these heavier feelings if it was wrong. But my humanness was feeling reluctance while my light was connecting and saying, this is it. So I bring him home. His name's Canyon now. And Vienna, my other cat, is adjusting and doing great. They are both doing great. And I couldn't love this second little cat more. oh my God, it happened pretty quickly too. And I see now his energy and his light and how it creates a balance. It's also meant, he's also here to actually help me in my next energetic step. And when I had a session with Kathy, which is funny because I'm interviewing 2 Kathys this month, but the pet communicator, she actually confirmed a number of things that I had been feeling and sensing about his energy that's going to be helping me, us, his mission. So my point in all of this is just your intuition, when we say, what do you want your intuition to do for you? It sort of releases, okay, well then what does it look like? Because if it looks like I've said this before, but my guides are not in my ear all day giving me advice. I wish. They're like, you got to figure this out on your own. You got to make decisions and we're going to help you along the way. And no, we can't always guide you to the right decision. Sometimes you got to make the wrong one in order to learn what you're meant to learn. So, and divine timing plays a big part in all of that. So my point is, I would have loved in that instance with finding Canyon and our hearts connecting, he's saying, I would have loved for it to be, oh, seamless, easy peasy. Oh, I just set the intention and found him and I knew he was the one. Of course, now I've learned from that experience. I was so much in my head. And I was also really having to ground in the responsibility of a new energy and my next phase in life, which is a big deal, right? So it wasn't just about adopting a single cat. So it can look, your intuition and your energy is not always going to be perfectly linear. It can be, what are the guides calling it, an expose? Interesting. Yeah, complex. So, and that's not a bad thing. You're not doing anything wrong. It's actually why, it's actually a little bit of how it's supposed to work, right? As you move through these very human phases and into a more aligned path. Because obviously, if and when this happens again, you know how I'm going to handle it. Well, handle it much differently based on all my experience. Or maybe I'll have another lesson to learn from that in that capacity. And who knows? Who knows? Okay. They are doing throat chakra energy. More throat chakra energy on us all right now. It's so funny. So how are you going to... What are you going to ask your intuition for? What do you need? What do you want it to help you with? What is that going to look like for you? Or are you just open to it? The guides are saying it would be good to have a few, 2 to 3 light definitions of, this is where I want my, this is what I want from my intuition. This is where I want it to help me go. Was that proper grammar again? I don't know. I just got the first round of my book edit back. And I opened it up and it was so depressing. I had to X out of it. Dorothy Parker has this quote. I loathe writing. I love having written. And I repeated that quote so many times because it's so true. And I've now processed those feelings of sadness. And I knew it was going to come back heavily edited because, again, how do you put all of this energy stuff down to paper? But I think I told you guys I was using probably 3 different tenses in one paragraph. I would say me, you, them, it. It's okay. That's what editors are for. I do know that I'm going to be holding a container at some point in the next year or 2 for you and for others to write their own stories, share their own learnings, and how to take yourself through the publishing process. So I'm excited about that. And I don't know when it's going to land, but again, so right now it's in my conscious, but spirit, there's divine timing for all these things. Will let me know when that's about to land. I am really excited for the upcoming interviews I have. They're going to start rolling out in the next 3 to 6 months. And I'm interviewing people who are from all different walks of life and who are integrating the energetics into their everyday life, because it does not just look like a spiritual intuitive teacher like myself. We're talking to people who own gyms, people who are personal trainers at a really high level. We're talking about teachers, estheticians, artists, all of you. It does not matter how you integrate your spiritual beingness, your energetics. We're meant to integrate it in all ways. Everything we do is part of the spiritual experience. So even if you're at a corporate job, you are bringing your essence, your energy, your spirituality to that corporate job, and it's needed. It's so needed. So I'm also interviewing folks who are my peers and competition. And I love it because I want to create a safe space for people to feel like, oh, I can, or I need to, I want to, I desire to work with multiple teachers, multiple mentors. And I think that's why I'm going to be holding space for people to be writing, because we all need each other's stories. And, you know, one person I'm interviewing, we were even talking about the competition piece and laughing, because it's not competition, right? You would, in the 3D world, you would see it as that, but it's not. You know, for him and I, we feel like we're co-creating. And everybody, you know, I really like everyone who I'm going to be interviewing. I appreciate their morals and ethics for how they approach their own personal path and how they approach their business. And that's key for me in who I interview, because it's easy to go in any direction. And to stay this course is takes work. It takes work. I'm not going to lie, you guys. It's not, you know, the easiest path, but I do think it's the most rewarding. And that is what I will end this on, is even though things feel challenging, the challenges will alleviate and life becomes so much more rich and enjoyable and fulfilled. And it's this feeling within you that you've created, and truly nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can. There will be moments and elements and things that derail you from it. And at the end of the day, you will have built all of these tools within yourself, all of this richness within yourself that is going to help you work through things, rebound when life gets hard. And then when life is really, really good, you're going to have a whole new taste and appreciation for these things. And we got to remember to really cultivate the good. That's the other thing, is we're really having to create goodness in our life as we go through these internal processes right now. So don't forget to create some of the goodness. Okay. Oh, they're finishing up with heart energy. I love heart energy. Oh, they said it's the universal tone. It's the universal tone. That makes sense. Thank you so much for being here today, for doing your work, for expanding your light, and I hope you share it with others. Bye for now.